Coming up, Fab is actually killing it in sales anyway. Foodspotting wants to give you gifts for taking pictures of your food. Too good to be true? Not even close. And an owl that can help you be more productive. All that and the best memes of 2012 on the Social Hour next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth provided by the new Winamp for Android, featuring wireless sync and one-click iTunes import. Now with free daily music downloads and full-length CD listening parties. Download it for free at winamp.com/Android. Bandwidth for the Social Hour is brought to you by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is The Social Hour with Sarah Lane and Amber MacArthur, episode 89, recorded Friday, November 30th, 2012. This episode of The Social Hour is brought to you by Social Media Solutions from SAP. If you're a social media manager at a large enterprise, gain insight and engage in social media in a systematic way with Social Media Solutions from SAP. Learn more at sap.com/twit and by audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audiblepodcast.com/social hour. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Social Hour. We are at episode 89, and it's going to be a good one. I can already feel it. From Petaluma, TWiT World Headquarters, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Amber MacArthur in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Just counting down the days to the holidays, Sarah. I will say it's not too far away now. So I guess that's a good thing for people like me who are into the holidays.
So you're into the holidays. I know you're going to go down to Florida with your family to warm up a little bit once it starts getting extremely cold in Toronto, which is any minute now. And I mean, do you do a big tree and a lot of lights and presents and the whole thing?
I'm not as focused on the presents, but the interesting thing is because my son is getting older, he'll be 4 in February, is that he is, for the first time ever, understanding the concept of Santa and Christmas, and he's very excited about it. So I think that's added just a new dimension to the holidays. So I feel like it's like being a kid again in some ways, and the decorations become more fun. So we will definitely be participating in lots of festive activities and presents. I think this year, we're trying, at least as a family, because I have a big extended family, is to say presents for kids only, because it gets out of control if you're buying for so many people. So that is the approach that we are taking.
Well, that is lovely. Yeah, there's something about kids that just make the holidays a lot more fun. Maybe that's my problem. But we've got quite a few stories to talk about off the top of the show today. The first one, last week we had some bad news. Living Social had laid off 400 employees, and we compared it to the other daily deals site like Groupon. Groupon, sort of the model of, in a way, what not to do, how not to build a business if you want to make any money once you go public. But Groupon has actually also been in the news for some positive reasons. This is a pretty interesting partnership. Groupon has partnered with Major League Baseball to become the official daily deals site for the MLB's 30 clubs. So what this means is now it's the choice service for MLB's interactive media. Through the deal, the MLB will handle deals from clubs through the Groupon Live events platform. So it's not so much like, hey, there's a deal going on at Pac Bell Park. Come on down and get your ticket, today only type of a thing. But Groupon Live is an online ticketing deals platform for Groupon. And it was originally a partnership with Live Nation that Groupon have. So people find tickets for concerts, for a sporting event like a baseball game, theater events, other live stuff in an area or that's produced by Live Nation, and then you find discounted tickets from Ticketmaster. And the MLB and Groupon have actually worked together in the past during the 2012 regular season and postseason, but it sounds like the deal went pretty well. So now Groupon's role is expanding a little bit. And what they'll do is give a chance to purchase a once-in-a-lifetime package, from your favorite team kind of thing. So I could maybe buy a round of batting practice, or a luxury box seat, something that I could just never really get normally, ballpark tours, that kind of thing. So this is pretty cool. You know, I mean, if you're not a baseball fan, then you're gonna be listening to me saying, doesn't apply to me, doesn't appeal to me, but they certainly cover a large group of people who might not be interested in coupons at all, but are interested in having more of a deal for really interesting things that involve their favorite baseball teams. Amber, are you interested?
Well, I think it's kind of cool. To be honest with you, I had never heard about Groupon Live before. I think it's refreshing to hear that Groupon at least is entering into these partnerships. It seems like it'll give them a better opportunity for growth in the future because they've been hit so hard in the past as far as the last 6 months or so where the company hasn't done as well. So if it's giving them, breathing new life into their business, I think it's a fantastic thing. Now, it's funny. I just went on to Groupon Live to see if there were any events in Toronto or anything that I could participate in. And once I logged in, it kicked me back to Groupon, the main site, to their getaways. So maybe that partnership is just limited right now. It's not, some of those live events aren't available everywhere, but I imagine they'll be rolling out soon to other places.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean,
Very cool.
I happen to really like baseball, so when I see something like this, I go, oh, I love the idea of, you know, just the baseball franchises innovating it all, and I don't hate Groupon, and I want them to figure out what, you know, where their business should go. So yeah, this is definitely something to look out for before spring training begins in a few months. Another social site that is relatively new and has gotten a lot of attention is Fab, but they have had kind of a Cinderella story really since day one, to the point now where Fab has just announced its first $1 million day. In fact, sold more than $6.5 million worth of products in the past week. We're shooting the show a little bit ahead of time, so if you're watching this episode and saying, is it this week? I don't know, but it was definitely a couple of weeks ago. If you're watching live, then it's no issue at all. But yeah, this is data that Fab released recently, up from 1.7 million during the same period last year. So 6.5 up from 1.7. That is a huge jump. Now, of course, a year ago, you may have never heard of Fab. You know, it just may have been not something that was even on your radar. Still might not be. But certainly a lot more people have been introduced to Fab. And Amber, we've talked about Fab in the past, because one of the neat things about it is that we can connect to each other socially, and so I can see some of the things that you've bought and maybe get good ideas and see the sort of goods and services that you like or bookmark. And you can connect it to Facebook, so all of your Facebook friends' data can be there as sort of an activity feed. So that's always made Fab a little bit more fun for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I think also from this TechCrunch story, one of the really interesting things, especially if you work in the retail space and you're wondering about trends, is how many people bought via mobile devices. And they have some stats here as far as record logins and purchases on the iPad in particular. You know, the iPad is such a great consumption device and obviously such a great shopping device, and it was no exception this time around. They talked about a third of the sales at Fab being done via mobile apps on mobile devices. So, you know, that's just phenomenal growth, because a couple of years ago, clearly that was not the case. A lot of people depending on tablets and smartphones to do their shopping. And I will say that this year on Black Friday was probably the first time that I ever did any shopping on a mobile device in particular. And I mean, it's so absolutely convenient. So this trend is just going to continue to grow.
It's interesting, too, that more than 10% of every login to Fab results in a purchase. So, you know, you think, well, 10%, you know, 100% would be better. But it's like, that's a good stat. Somebody in chat said, Fab is just full of really expensive things, though. I mean, who's buying all this stuff? And it's true. Some of the stuff on Fab is too rich for my blood, or it's not interesting to me, and some of it is very expensive, but not all of it. Honestly, they have a very often rotating daily offers on a variety of things, from home furnishings to art to clothing to, you know, little candles and socks and stuff like that. So if you're not familiar with Fab, fab.com, you know, it might be worth checking out. And Amber, you're right. It's that's something that we've been hearing quite a bit as far as this holiday season goes, is just so many more people than ever accessing especially online retailers via tablets, iPads, mostly because they're just more iPads, but tablets in general.
Sure.
They like
Very
the
interesting.
experience.
So we would not be the social hour if we didn't have some news about Facebook, right, Sarah?
Right.
And this week we have news about deal changes with Zynga as far as the game maker. And this opens up Facebook to being able to potentially make some of its own games. This is according to documents that have been filed with the SEC. This article on All Things Day goes into great details as far as the agreement and, the documentation and why this opens up a whole new world for Facebook.
Yeah, so Facebook and Zynga, a couple of years ago, back in 2010, they had signed a 5-year agreement that it wasn't, you wouldn't really call it an exclusivity agreement, but it was sort of close. And it involved things like Zynga could use Facebook credits for their games, and so that's a nice integration that makes it very seamless and easy for people to play Zynga games on the Facebook platform. But also, Zynga was obligated to launch games on Facebook, even if they were going to launch, or even if they were going to offer the games on their own platform, Zynga.com, which is something that they launched earlier this year, certainly since they went into that 5-year agreement with Facebook. So there were good things and bad things about the partnership. It seems that both companies are really eager to not be so integrated. Zynga wants to be a viable model that does not depend on Facebook, because that's just a really weak position to be in, because Facebook changes all the time. And Facebook doesn't want anybody who's playing games to only associate Facebook games with Zynga, because what if Zynga isn't your thing? You don't want to just write off the Facebook game experience because they're too tightly woven together. Plus, Facebook also ends up paying Zynga a certain amount of money, and Facebook wants to pay the least amount of money out so that its shareholders stay as happy as possible. So as far as, I believe, March 31st, 2013, Zynga will no longer be forced to launch games exclusively on the Facebook platform when they first come out. Also not obligated to use Facebook credits for Zynga game pages, but also doesn't have sort of special rules, which of course is why this got filed with the SEC, is Zynga ends up becoming just like really another game developer on the Facebook platform that adheres to the same terms of services that other game developers adhere to. So no special treatment, I guess. And in a way, it lets the two have a little bit more breathing room. What I think is interesting, Amber, and what I can't figure out is Facebook really going to try to get into the gaming market? I mean, I'm sure they certainly have a lot of talented people or a small company to acquire that could allow them to do so, but that really might turn off the game developers that they're currently working with. If they're starting to do their own in-house games, then it's sort of like, well, what's the incentive to be developing for the Facebook platform at all as a third party?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have such amazing data as far as what, but I totally agree. It would be a bit of a split focus for them if they were to venture into this new area and all of a sudden start developing games. But clearly they probably see the money there and they realize it's a huge opportunity, and they're kind of, I want to say they're scrambling to figure out ways to make money, but it could be on their radar. I mean, they change so often and do so much. We should probably not be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have another Facebook story. This one, I think we covered this before when they were rolling it out kind of in beta. And now it looks like it's going to be available for everyone. There's a big push to ensure that the photo sync feature that is available for Android and iOS users will be available to everyone who is on Facebook. The idea being that you can automatically sync your photos from your phone to Facebook. The good news is it will be in a private album, so you can maintain that privacy. And as far as I can tell from this article on the Next Web, you go in and you set your photos up to sync automatically. It's not something that happens by default, which I think is a good move, and I hope that is the way that it works.
Yeah, that's right. Can you imagine the outcry if all of a sudden all of these photos that you never actually wanted to share with anybody end up on some album on Facebook and you freak out? No, this is this is a feature that you turn on, and then like Amber said, this is a private album that then is just on Facebook. And so instead of, I don't know, going back and forth from your phone to Facebook all the time, or your tablet or whatever, they're just there, and then you can decide what to make public and tag people and all that stuff. I think, Amber, that this is, I can't tell if this is something that I would like to use. I upload pictures to Facebook all the time. I certainly think that that's fun, and I like reading people's comments and talking to people in that sense about photos, but I don't know, I take so many bad pictures.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like, I know that they don't have to be public if I don't want them to be, but it's like, I just see no point in taking up space on a secret folder with stuff that I'm just never going to want to make public. It's not so much that it's embarrassing, it's just sort of useless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't think that I would ever use this. I mean, I probably only ever share 10% of the photos that I take because, I may take 3 or 4 different photos in one little session. If I'm taking a picture of something, only one of them is good. And many times I won't even share that. So I think it's probably a feature that some people may rely on if they're really heavy Facebook users. They want a place to back up their photos. But personally, I don't think I will ever turn it on.
Yeah. So some people in chat are saying, well, what about instant upload on Google+? I mean, that's another feature that some people really enjoy. Isn't this sort of the same idea? And yeah, it is. Then again, people are so paranoid about Facebook and just the idea that, sure, maybe no one will see that secret album of yours, but Facebook has access to that. I mean, it's an album that they created, right? So that's, and at any point, is there going to be a glitch and all of a sudden albums will be public and it'll just be this, this outcry? I think that's, I guess anything's possible. I think really this is meant to be a little feature of convenience. But yeah, I mean, that's something to consider too. I mean, if you have issues with Facebook having too much of your data, this is probably not something you ever want to turn on.
Never. I totally agree. Okay, so our next story also has to do with photos. Foodspotting has launched a pilot that rewards you for taking photos. The idea being there could potentially be a way to monetize some of those images that you are taking of food. This is a huge industry. I mean, in Toronto here, it's a national newspaper called the National Post, but they do something called the Gastroblog, and basically they choose all of these great photos of food that people have put online, and they share them and they promote them. And I think food photography on the web is just so huge in the social space. So maybe a lot of people are getting excited that they could make some cash off this, or at least get some discounts at restaurants and other places.
Yeah, this is kind of, we haven't talked about Foodspotting in a while, and I feel so bad because it's actually a really great service. It requires you to be passionate about food, that's for sure, and taking pictures of it, which I know is sort of a joke, in the social media world in general. It's like, it's just about taking pictures of your food. That's exactly what Foodspotting is. They build a whole business around it. But this is a very sort of interesting look into how Foodspotting might monetize in a unique way going forward. So their holiday rewards program is launched in San Francisco. So it's a small test market at this point, but it's redeemable points when you take pictures of food at select restaurants. Okay, so there's a restaurant not too far from me called Rich Table. If Rich Table and Foodspotting got a partnership together, and I took a picture of, I went ahead and I went to Rich Table and I took a picture of, their mac and cheese, and that was part of the program, then I would get rewards that then Facebook would use to be able to gift me something. Now, I'm sorry, Foodspotting, not Facebook. Facebook is not involved in this at all. I just got Facebook on the brain. So this is, right now, Foodspotting says we're footing the bill for these gifts. I mean, if I earn enough rewards, then maybe Foodspotting will send me a little iPhone case, or, some sort of like a lens add-on, or, coupon codes, like you said, Amber, or something like that. But it's not so much you get a discount at, this restaurant. It's because you're, nearby or you checked in. It's actually you get a discount because of your love of this food, and eventually Foodspotting will not be footing the bill for this. They'll actually be getting restaurants and merchants to be paying into this, because if it's successful, then it means I'm going to somewhere like Rich Table more often.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really fun idea. As much as I'm sure there are people out there in the social media space who hate when their friends are just posting photos of food, it's massively popular, just like taking photos of cats, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Some people hate it. Some people love it.
Who hates taking photos of cats? Come
not me.
on. I mean, you're talking about a hypothetical situation that's just a little bit too hypothetical.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a stretch.
Boy, do I take a lot of pictures of cats. I do. I really do, Amber, especially on Instagram, because all the cutest pictures always go up there. I will go to my own history, and I'll look and be like, have I taken pictures of cats like in the last 10 pictures? Because sometimes if I have, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to upload this picture. People already saw 5 pictures ago my cat Sam being really cute. I'm going to go ahead and take pictures of other things before I upload this again. So actually something I think about.
Very fun.
Oh, boy, I know. A quick reminder that we record the Social Hour live on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's a lot of fun to have you join us live because you're chatting and you're giving us feedback live, and it's fun. You can watch Amber and I sort of do this show, The Rough Cut, before we do a little bit of our finessing that Jeff Stewart does in our editing booth. Our website is twit.tv/TSH, so if you can't join us live, that's okay. Or if you ever miss a show, maybe you're out of town or you're just sort of behind, great place to get caught up on everything that we talk about. We have subscription links so you can subscribe to our video or our audio feeds, which is totally free, by the way. It's just an easy way to have the show delivered to you without even thinking about it. Look how cute Amber was in episode 87. You look so professional. I think that was the week after you had been here, so we were like,
yes, it's the glow, Sarah. After meeting you in person.
We missed each other again. Yeah, look at my posture. Gosh, sit up straight, Sarah. Sheesh. But that's this was a really fun show, and we've got all of our show notes in there, so that if we talk about a certain story and you think, gosh, I really want to forward that to somebody, it's all there. So we try to make it as easy as possible, and of course that screenshot is actually a video. So if you just want to watch the show straight from our website, you can do that too. And of course, you can email us at thesocialhour@twit.tv with feedback, questions, comments, all that good stuff. All right, let's take a moment to thank SAP for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. Social Media Solutions is great for anybody who works in enterprise of social, because when you have a big enough company, you get a lot of feedback, you got stuff flying at you from all angles, and you want to be good at your job. You want to make sense of it. You want to ingest all the content and then figure out, okay, how can I make our customers happy? How can I engage? Be smart about it. Be systematic about it. 2 things from Social Media Solutions from SAP will make your enterprise life better. The listening component is one component that helps large enterprises in a smart way know what's being said about their brands. I mean, this is the conundrum. You've got people posting all over the web. They're complaining on Facebook. They're raving about you on Twitter. They're asking questions on their blog. This is all stuff that you want to address, but when there's enough of it, how are you going to address it if there's just a lot of data floating around on the web? That's where Social Media Solutions comes in. Captures and reports these conversations that people are having about your brand so you don't miss anything. You've got relevant terms, stuff that you can choose to flag to make sure that you're hearing what you need to hear. Also, what's the sentiment like? Is somebody really fired up about something? Is this a subject that needs to be addressed right now about some new product maybe that you've rolled out? Are there customers who are ready to buy and maybe this is a great time to jump in and remind them where they need to go or give them a helpful link, that sort of thing? Natural language processing is something that SAP is really known for, which is how to intelligently know the differences between the things that people say. You can say something and on paper, maybe it's not so clear that person's angry or that person's really, really happy and really, really satisfied. So that's sort of another layer that Social Media Solutions can do. And the engaging component is what you do once you've got all this data. Okay, so you've got all of it, and now what happens? Well, if you've got a team, you've got someone who tweets a technical support problem, maybe you're not the person who can help them. You'd have to ask somebody else anyway. So why doesn't the technical support staff member just get that tweet in the first place? You're basically routing a bunch of information and questions and comments to the right people so you can be efficient and engage in a much smarter way. Social media solutions from SAP is accurate. It's real-time understanding of your brand's social media performance. And if you work in social media presence for a large regional or national enterprise, you probably want to get in touch with them. See how they can make your job better. Can make you better at your job and your enterprise. sap.com/twit. If you haven't been there, do go sap.com/twit, because there's a lot more information there about specifically what SAP is working on to help make the social enterprise more robust, smarter, more intelligent. sap.com/twit. And thanks to them for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. Amber, I'm so excited about this time of year because you always start getting the roundups of this year in blank, this year in blank. And some of that has to do with memes, because we all love the year's memes on the internet.
Yes, they're always fun memes. So you're right. We always get the top lists of 2012 for the end of the year. And this year we have, of course, the 12 best memes of 2012, which has been featured on Mashable. So we can just go through them. We don't have to spend a lot of time. You may know some of them. You may not know some of them. Sarah, do you want to do one for one and kind of fire through them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So First up, we have photo bombing Stingray. This is the one where it's the Stingray who is photo bombing people in their photos. That's kind of funny. Kind of fun.
I love that. I love that. Photo bombing Stingray. Okay, so the next one is... Oh, Paul Ryan. Ah, yes. Okay. Well, because, of course, there's Paul Ryan pictures of him with his weights. I don't even know. What is the picture we're looking at now, though? It's like is that just sort of some... why is Joe Biden there with his shirt off? That never happened, right?
I don't think so. I hope these are Photoshopped. That's all I will say.
This is the meme itself, right? This is just one aspect of where the meme ended up going. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's funny.
Next up, this photo is not Photoshopped, except for the text on it, of course. This became another meme, the ridiculously photogenic guy. This was just some random dude who was jogging, and a photographer took a picture of him. He had perfect teeth, a perfect smile, even when he was running. And so he instantly became a meme.
Oh, ridiculously photogenic guy. I forgot about that guy. I love that guy.
I too.
You know, running a marathon never looked so good. He's great. Is he real? Have they found him?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Jason says yes. Ridiculously photogenic guy lives and breathes.
Definitely. I read something a few months ago where someone had like an encounter with him. Oh. And took a picture of him, and he looked very similar to what you see here.
Oh, isn't that
very
nice?
photogenic?
Yeah, he's funny. He's looking good. You know, Amber, I know we have 12, so we don't have to get through all of them. But there is Potato Jesus. Now, I have to admit, I don't know Potato Jesus.
No. I'm not familiar with this one. If we go to the next one, though, I'm not familiar with this one. Grumpy Cat. I don't know if you know that one,
Amber
Sarah.
MacArthur. Good
I don't know.
Gracious.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't follow the cat memes.
Well,
I know.
the cat memes are what I am best at in life. Cat memes are. This is something that, you know, it's hard to trick me when it comes to this. Yeah, Grumpy Cat is. She's a little kitty who has, I believe, a congenital defect. So she frowns all the time, and she's adorable, and it looks like she is angry, even though I think that's just her regular face. And she has become quite a little phenomenon. She's got her own Tumblr page and Facebook page, and then people make all sorts of little lolcat pictures that talk about how she's incapable of having a good time.
Wow.
Yep.
You do know a lot about it, Sarah.
Yes, her name is Tartar Sauce, and she's really adorable. So, all right, I've said too much. Of course, Clint Eastwood in the chair. I mean, I think of all of these, that's maybe the most meme-worth meme that we've seen yet.
Oh, no. Number one is, Sarah. Wait till we get to number one.
Okay, good. All right,
okay.
So we've got Overly Attached Girlfriend. She actually looks like my friend Anne a little bit. Dog shaming. Oh, that's so sad. We've got, Big Bird, right? Yes. Mitt Romney and Big Bird. I had forgotten about that. Gosh, so much good election stuff. Text from Hillary. Oh, because Hillary was, she was wearing the sunglasses, holding her BlackBerry that one day, looking like she didn't give a hoot. Number 2 is the Ermagerd. Ermagerd. I really didn't like that. Is so funny how these happen, because I hear that all the time, but I didn't really know where it came from. It's just something that people started saying. I think we're so used to memes now. We all say, "Oh, it's probably on a show," or
yeah. But number 1, you'll know, Sarah.
Oh, of course. Michaela's not impressed. Why didn't I think of that?
Yes.
Oh,
so the number 1 meme of 2012, of course, a very popular one. Michaela is not impressed, and looks like that's the most popular meme for this year. But there's still time, Sarah. There's still another few weeks, and there could be another one. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, the holidays are unpredictable. Michaela could just get, oh, that would be great, because then Michaela would be number 2, which is why she wasn't impressed in the first place.
Oh, you're good. How meta.
Yeah.
How meta. I
think this needs to happen, Internet. Give us a good meme, quick.
Do it.
Do it now.
Okay, so while you're dreaming up a good meme for our social tip of the week, a lot of people doing shopping both online and offline. If you're looking for a really great app to be able to manage all of the gifts you need to buy, but more importantly, I'm finding it's so easy to buy things online that sometimes you go over your budget. So that gets a little bit frustrating. And what's great about this app, it's called Gifts HD for the iPad, is that it allows you to keep a budget and stick to that budget and manage who you have to buy for, put the budget in, all that information, what gifts you have to wrap. So if you have a lot of people you need to purchase gifts for, this will save you some time and keep you very well organized. Again, a really slick app. It will cost you a few dollars, but if, again, you are able to save a few dollars, then it's worth it.
Yeah, and I think this is the sort of thing where it's like, if you're organized already, you probably don't need an iPad app just to be organized on an iPad. But, and I know this because I do a show about iPad apps, that sometimes people just like replicating what they would do anyway on their iPad because they've got one. And this is actually, it looks really nice. It looks like you've got a little, it's almost like you've got a little desk and you're figuring out, okay, well, who do I need to buy a present for? Let's manage my money. I've got a budget. These are some of the gift ideas. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, they've done a good job of it. Okay, so for our spotlight of the week, if you are a Tumblr user, and this applies particularly well to brands, companies who are managing Tumblr accounts, you'll be happy to hear that there is now a way to get analytics from your Tumblr account. Looks like Tumblr has just chosen a preferred partner. This is an analytics partner. They are called Partner Union Metrics. The sad news, though, for individuals hoping to get a chance at getting their own analytics tool is that it would cost you a pretty penny, because access to the company's dashboard starts at $500 a month. So a lot of money for an individual, or even for a small business. That's just too much money, quite frankly.
Yeah, so I guess it's so the Tumblr dashboard, anybody who's a Tumblr user is familiar with it. That's a way that a lot of people that are following you can read all of your posts, all of your updates, without actually hitting your domain. So it's like, if you're using your own domain to host a Tumblr blog, it's actually something that I do. You can look at all your own domain stats, but that's not how a lot of people might be reading your Tumblr blog anyway, because so much of it is internal. So I think this is really smart on the part of Tumblr. And there's so many brands who are on Tumblr and have made it. Like the BuzzFeed Tumblr is actually one that I go to maybe more even than BuzzFeed.com. I like BuzzFeed, speaking of memes. But there are a lot of brands who have utilized Tumblr really well. A lot of news organizations who use Tumblr. So for a company like that, $500 a month for really accurate metrics of who's reading your updates and that sort of thing is probably a drop in the bucket. But yeah, for individuals, especially if you've figured out, you've kind of culled a really nice community there and you're rocking along and you're posting really regularly, to have more information about who's actually visiting you and seeing your posts would be great. But who can pay for that? Very few of us.
Yeah, it's a little bit pricey. However, like you said, if you're a big brand, then I think, it's going to make sense if you rely on a lot on Tumblr. So the price will eventually come down, and hopefully for the average person who maybe has developed their own personal brand and runs a Tumblr account, there'll be an opportunity to get a less expensive choice as far as packages from this software company.
Tumblr has been historically sort of against monetization, too. I mean, we mentioned that earlier this year for the first time, they had allowed ads to people to buy basically placement on I'm going to forget the name of the page. It's sort of like the equivalent of an explore page for Tumblr. But that was a really small change, because I know that the founder and CEO David Karp had said on record in the past, we're not interested in screwing Tumblr up by monetizing it to pieces. So monetizing the brands that use Tumblr, which is people who have the deeper pockets, or the companies do, that definitely makes sense. I mean, it makes sense if Tumblr is in the position where, hey, we got to start making some money. What's a really good monetization effort that isn't going to tick off the millions of users who love us, but just don't have that kind of money? It's pretty smart.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree.
Okie
All
dokie.
right.
Shall we move on to some of our viewer feedback of the week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we got an email from our French lady nerd. That's how she signed it, so that's what she is. Hello, French lady nerd. She says, there is a Pinterest for guys called Mantrestine. Instead of pinning, you can nail. Instead of liking, you bump. Instead of commenting, you're chatting. So she says, social network sites tailoring only to a particular gender on purpose. Thoughts? My first thought is, this is stupid, because I see an ad over on the left-hand side already, and or is that even an ad, or is that actually something that someone? Yes. Yeah, it's an ad. So it's like, well, okay, this looks a little bit like, yeah, that's definitely an ad. It's okay. It doesn't even really look like Pinterest. Or maybe I'm just totally not the target market because I'm seeing things like power tools and scantily clad women, Amber, and a spider, for goodness sake. So I'm like, oh, okay, I already don't like this.
Spiders. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's I don't know. But wasn't there another site we reviewed like this? It was called Gentlemint.
Yes, that is correct. But this is a little bit more like man stuff. I mean,
yeah, it's very mannish.
Yeah. Gentlemint was that what it was called? I think it was, yeah, because it sounded like breath mint. That was a little bit more of like I guess it is kind of the same idea, really. This is all the weird premise that Pinterest is for women, which is just not true. There are a lot of women on Pinterest, but it's certainly for anybody. Anybody.
Yeah.
Man, woman, dog, cat, llama. Anybody. So Mantrestine. Maybe Amber and I just aren't fair enough. Jason, does Mantrestine look like the kind of place you'd like to hang out for a while?
I mean, just scanning through it, there's a couple of things that made me chuckle, but that's about it. I could find that on many sites. Right. I don't know why I'd go back to this one in particular.
But that's the thing that Gentleman did really well, though, is that they actually had some cool products. Because I remember, Sarah, we talked about it, and we thought, hey, there's some of these things that maybe would appeal to us, maybe being a little bit more geeky, and they had some really cool gift ideas, and so they took it a little more seriously. I think Mantrestine seems like it is almost more of a joke. Kind of, like you said.
It sort of does seem like that. I mean, it's clearly a real site. If you go to mantrestine.com, it's there. It's Mantrestine. It's almost
weird.
like, yeah, anyway, you're making a word that's not a real word, but neither is Pinterest. Okay, we got another email from Wook. Also, that's how you signed it, so okay, hello Wook. Says, I'm looking to rent out my vehicle while not in use. I thought that you gals might have covered this in an episode before, and I was just curious what service you might trust with your vehicle. We did indeed cover this. In fact, we had one of the founders of Get Around, Jessica Scorpio, join Amber and I. Oh gosh, I don't know. It seems like about a year ago now. It was some time ago. But Get Around is a service that allows you to, exactly what you're asking. If you, let's say, okay, so for example, I drive my car 5 days a week, and so I need my car Monday through Friday. And because I drive so much on the weekends, I am so not interested in driving. So I don't I put my car in the garage and it just sits there until I need it on Monday. What I could do with a service like Getaround, and it is not the only service, although it's the only one that I have experience with, is I could set a price and say, you know what, if somebody wants to borrow my car, I could tell them to come to a set location where my car would be available. They take it for a certain amount of time. I say $15 an hour, or maybe less, or maybe more. Depends on what kind of car you have and, you know, what you want to get out of it. And I can basically rent out my car and get money for the time that it would just be sitting there anyway. And Amber, you recall we talked about this. I mean, there's some gray areas, like how does insurance work, and you know, what if somebody trashes your car and then they say that, you know, that scratch was already there. So it is personal property, but the whole rental thing applies to pretty much everything, and definitely applies to cars too.
Yeah, and I think if I'm right, I think Jessica, she dove into a lot of those different issues when we interviewed her and talked more at length about the insurance issues and all of those other details. So you can listen back to that episode if you want. But it seems like a pretty neat service.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, campaign of the week time.
Okay, like I mentioned last week, there are lots of different holiday campaigns in the digital marketing and social media space. This one has just come out from KFC. The idea here is they've created a bunch of video ads. I don't know if they appear on television as well, but they are definitely on KFC's YouTube channel and Facebook page. And they're talking about the dysfunction of family gatherings. Now, they have a couple here posted on Advertising Age, one being a video that is talking about how nephews can be annoying, one about how aunts can be annoying, or aunts, and as soon as they have a bite of chicken, you know, everybody shuts up. Sarah, I don't know. I just don't think they're funny. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe we could play one and see. I mean, obviously people listening, they're not going to hear much because it's just a lot of noise of your family members talking. Maybe other people experience this, but I don't know if it's great for the holiday season when you're supposed to promote love, or maybe I'm cheesy.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, let's watch this one.
I'm not touching you. 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 I'm not touching you.
These are the nephews.
I'm not touching you. 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 I'm not touching you.
Eat the chicken.
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
So long.
I'm not touching you.
No kidding.
How long is it?
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
I don't know.
All right. So the idea is that spending the holidays with your loved ones is basically just a torture experiment. It's awful.
And you can help it by chicken, fried chicken.
And those nephews were really annoying. I mean, I wouldn't last long with them either. But okay. So I actually saw one of these advertisements on. It might have actually been a Hulu commercial that I saw, because I was watching some Hulu at the gym last night. But yeah, this is I saw the one that was, you know, the loud aunts who were, you know, talking about, you know, this and that. And it was a lot shorter, because they probably have different versions that are running in different places. But I remember thinking, but the chicken's right in front of them. Can't they smell it? Like, why does he have to physically put it in their hands in order for them to be quiet? I get the joke, right? That family members are just annoying. But why? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, why are they? I mean, and who sits down on a couch at a coffee table and has a bucketed chicken in front of them during the holidays? I don't know. Like, I'm sure people do, but don't you at least sit at the table? And I don't know, the whole thing, I think it drives me crazy because I do work in digital marketing and do some strategy work in that area. And so I just think about these companies who get so much money to produce videos like this and how much thought and people were involved. And I just feel like, I don't know. I don't think it's really that funny. I think that, you know, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan.
I'm not a huge fan either. I don't even eat chicken, so it's like, you know, there's only so much I would ever like anything from KFC. Maybe you like KFC, and that's just great. But I think it's a little bit more about, listen, we all have to get through the holidays, which is just a pessimistic attitude anyway. Even though I know that families can be really annoying, but yeah, KFC Silent Night campaign. I give it a solid meh.
I give it a solid C-.
C-.
We should start grading them.
Yeah, let's do that. All right.
Okay, let's do it.
We just made up a new rule. We at the Social Hour love to get your feedback as much as possible. Thanks to everybody who wrote in this week. The Social Hour at twit.tv is how you can email us with your questions, your comments. If you want us to review a site or let us know about something that we haven't talked about in the past, please do. Because as social as Amber and I are, we can't do it just the two of us. We need the army. You can leave us a voicemail at 2626 SOCIAL. Just plug that into your phone. You'll reach our Google voicemail box. You can leave us a message. Try to keep them to 30 seconds or less. Or, of course, in that 30-second mark, you can also record a video, upload it somewhere, send us the link, and we'll try to play it on a future episode. It's always fun to see the video versions of yourselves. All right, Amber, let's get ready for your rad or fad. And while you're doing that, I will take a moment to thank Audible for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. Love Audible. Talk about Audible constantly because I'm just a busy lady and my eyes get tired. At the end of the day, especially when it's like I've been in the car and it's raining, it's like I just can't pick up a book. I mean, it's just not going to work for me. Audible.com is my solution because I could either say, well, I never read, and then I'd be missing out, or I can read audibly. Audible.com is the leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 titles, all downloadable. So once you download them, they're yours. All types of literature, fiction, nonfiction, periodicals even. The library is absolutely enormous. And what's really neat is that you've got new releases, you've got bestsellers, you've got books that are read by the authors themselves, you've got books that are read by a group of people, so it's almost like a play type of a thing. You've got award-winning books. I mean, all sorts of stuff. You'd be hard-pressed to find a book that you were looking for that you couldn't find on Audible. For listeners and viewers of The Social Hour, Audible is offering a free audiobook to give you a chance to try out their service. If you're not already an Audible member, you might need a little push. Like, is this Audible thing going to work out for me? How does it work anyway? Is it going to be convenient for me to listen to, not only on my computer, but on my smartphone or my tablet? Spoiler, the answer is yes, but you want to figure it out for yourself. So we're going to go ahead and give you a free book. If you just download an audiobook for free after trying out the service on audible.com for 30 days free, just go to audiblepodcast.com/social hour. That is actually the way that you can sign up for the service, give it a whirl, see how many books you can get through, decide to download a free book of your choice. Just pick one. Just go nuts. I don't care which book you choose. Something good, though. And listen to it. Then you get a really great sense for how fun Audible can be. You want to be reading, right? If you're reading 6 books a day, well, hell, you're doing better than I am. But audible.com is the way to get through a lot of great books that you might not be reading otherwise. And they're enriching and lovely. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/social hour. Oh, and by the way, a totally different, this is just a free book that Audible's giving on top of this promo. It's a copy of Brandon Sanderson's Legion, which is absolutely free. This is just think of it as a holiday gift. Audible.com/Sanderson. No trial, no credit card required for this book at all. Just audible.com/SANDERSON. And thanks again to Audible for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. All right, Amber, it is rad or fad time, and I am excited because it sounds like it is animal related.
It is, and if you like owls, it's even better because this is the Productivity Owl, which is a Google Chrome plugin. The idea behind the Productivity Owl, it is great for people who maybe are addicted to social media, social sites, and spend too much time on those social sites. So basically what you can do is you can program the owl to allow you to go to certain sites where you are doing work, but you can also program the owl to make sure that the owl blocks certain sites that you shouldn't be spending too much time on. You can go even further than that as far as having a schedule of your free time, and basically the Productivity Owl is there to bully you into doing more work. If you've landed on a page where you're spending too much time, like YouTube or Facebook, the owl will count down that you only have a few seconds left and will just close the tab. It's over for you there. I think this is kind of cute, but maybe a little gimmicky, and maybe you wouldn't use it that much. So I think it might be faddish, Sarah.
I think so too, even though I love the idea
cute, yeah.
of making it an owl. It's the owl saying, stop watching YouTube videos or stop responding to people on Twitter. The thing is, Amber, if I'm being really honest, I really need a productivity owl. I am... I have a really short attention span. I'm going back and forth in all of my tabs all day long. I mean, we all do that, of course, but I will find myself when I get stressed about something, or it's like, oh, I only have 15 minutes. Then it's like somehow I find myself on Facebook, and then I only have 7 minutes to finish something. And it's like, it can really be a drain. And it almost becomes like a crutch, like I don't want to deal with what I have to deal with. I'm just going to look at other things for a few more minutes. So it can, if you wanted to be disciplined about it, I mean, I guess this could really help you stay focused.
It could, especially since the owl stays on the page. So it's not like the owl just appears all of a sudden. I guess if you're on Wikipedia and you're just browsing and wasting time or whatever site it is, the owl will actually be in the bottom corner kind of sitting looking at you. So it's that constant reminder that you need to be more productive. So you know what? I think for people who are listening, if you want to install this and let us know if it's helped you, that would be kind of cool. I just think I probably would have that experience where I was watching something I really liked on YouTube and I was wasting time, and then the owl closed the tab, that it would really frustrate me. So maybe I need to respect the owl more.
Maybe so. Or maybe it would become like the Clippy thing where you're just like, I hate this owl so much.
Yeah.
Go away forever, owl. So I don't know. I'm probably not going to try it because I don't want to stop reading Facebook all day long.
We don't want to stop. We know we have a productivity issue, but we are in denial, basically.
That's right. We choose not to get more healthy. Yes. We rage against the owl. No, I think this is kind of interesting. By the way, if anybody uses Productivity Owl and has, I don't know, maybe try it out for a week or something. I mean, if you actually think it's helpful or just a waste of time or something, please do let us know so we can get a little bit of real world feedback about this rad or fad. But I'm going to go ahead and say fad.
Fad,
yeah.
I think it's a fad.
All right, Amber, we're ending on a fad for this episode of The Social Hour. It was a fun one, though. We were all over the place on this one. Remember, we are live Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Starting on the next episode, we'll be back to recording the show and releasing the show on the same day. We're a little off of our timeline right now because we're pre-recording a couple of shows before we take a little bit of time off during the holiday season. But thanks to everybody who does watch live or watches us after the fact or says nice things about us on social networks. Remember, our website is twit.tv/TSH. And Amber, until next time, well, you know who I am, but I'll tell you anyway. I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Amber MacArthur, and we will see you soon.